Today, I will use the Potterbox to argue that Kansas City Sports Radio's host was unethical in his comment regarding Kansas City's coach. On June 24th in 2019, Kevin Kietzman, then host of Kansas City Sports Radio 810 WHB, was suspended after attempting to make a joke regarding Coach Andy Reid on air. Kietzman was quoted saying that Andy Reid does not have a great record of fixing players as he doesn't do discipline well. It did not work out particularly well in his family life, he said, and that needs to be added to this as we're talking about the Chiefs. He wasn't real great at that either. He's had a lot of things go bad for him, family, and players. The host said this on air while referring to Coach Reid's son that had passed away in 2012 due to a heroin overdose. He was also referring to Tyreek Hill, a player who was suspended just before this after being accused of child abuse and neglect and also assaulting his pregnant girlfriend. The broadcasting company, which is Union Broadcast, that published on its Sports Radio 810 WHB's website a statement apologizing for the statement that was made by Kevin and said that they are taking the appropriate action by suspending him. He also posted a clip to his Twitter apologizing for his statement and stating that he was not referring to Reid's son, but to the team's record of drug addiction and convictions for dealing drugs, and also referring to Andy's other son, who is a defensive line coach at Kansas City, who he said was responsible for a lot of their losses, and that's why he was referring to him. Many started calling, insisting Kevin be fired for his comment, and shortly after his suspension, he was eventually let go. This is a link to Kevin's video of his apology. During this, what was valued was entertainment, popularity, control, and profit. He wanted to entertain his guests and have control over what he was saying, and he was trying to gain popularity by having a different take than maybe other people have. But what he should have been valuing is relevance, because it wasn't relevant to what he was talking about, and he didn't need to bring it up. He should have valued the privacy of Coach Reid, fairness, and compassion, because this is a topic that shouldn't have been talked about. The ethical principles that I brought into question regarding this case study was utilitarianism, because the comment made by Kevin brought him more harm than it did good, and to both parties involved, it did not bring anything good, it only brought harm. And egoism, because Kevin's comment was not good for his long-term successfulness, as it did result in him losing his job, and it was not an overall good thing for him to say relating to his successfulness. As far as loyalties go, Kevin should have been loyal to Coach Reid, his family, and the team by separating a tragedy that had happened in his life from his career and his players' careers. Kevin was loyal to only himself by trying to further his own career by gaining popularity, trying to make a new take, but he shouldn't have done this at the expense of others. For my judgment of this case study, I said that if Kevin really was not referring to Coach Reid's son who had passed away, he should have been more clear and direct in his words and in his statement and made that clear from the start. Kevin should have taken his time to consider his statement from another point of view and the effect that it could have on not only the team but also listeners who it may be a sensitive topic for, and the coach and the coach's family that this also affects. Kevin should have had a more thoughtful apology before his actual apology. He began by getting super defensive of his words and not actually taking accountability, and it just took way too many people to correct him and call him out on it before he actually did admit that he was wrong and take full accountability. I do think that the radio acted ethically by suspending him and giving him a chance to take his responsibility, and they fired him after he chose not to. My discussion questions I asked: do you feel Kevin may have actually not been referring to Coach Reid's son who passed and just had poor word choice? And if so, how do you think his punishment should have been handled? If you worked for the broadcast statement, what would your response to the situation be? And what would protocol be in the future to prevent another situation such as this happening? And do you think sports shows hosts should be allowed to bring topics from coaches and players' personal lives into arguments about their careers? If so, where should the line be drawn of what's acceptable and not acceptable to say? And these are my resources. Thank you for listening.